Here we are. Welcome back. Let me check how is the audio. Looks good for now. It's a long time that I don't make a live. I will explain what happened. Let me check. Here we are. Okay, the audio looks good. So let me check here. Media. Okay. So it was more than 1 month that I don't make any live. I started last time a project with you with the Orca slicer and Bambu slicer, and now try to finish in these days. There was the Chinese New Year, so I was quite busy, and also I have a problem with the computer that it was broken, so I cannot make any live. But in the meantime, I'm still printing a lot. So as usual, before continue this short tutorial about Orca slicer and Bambu slicer, I want to show to you what was my progress in this month. First one, last time when I left, I showed that I was printing this one, the red hood. I start to send and put the putty filler with you in the last live. I didn't finish yet because it was always raining, and when it's raining it's not very suitable for paint here because they got some humidity. Here you remember I got this line that I'm trying to cover on this side is little more markable. Here is almost disappear. On the top also is almost smooth enough, still some small bump here, but this one I just apply my cream one time. I need to sand, put the cream another 2 times at least, more filler, cover this small defect here, sand more here, and it should be ready. Also here a little bit I need to finish, but overall it's coming pretty good. This one is very big for my head because it's for, oh my god, the camera is broken, for a customer that he booked and canceled. I don't know why. He changed idea on this project. I also preparing the lens here. I was making all the lens for the eyes here with a switch to put under the chin here, so you can just open and close very nicely. So this one will become a project that I will continue to make in the future, who knows when. Let me see in meantime here the chat. Okay. After that one, I was also making some Batman arms here. This one, you know, is the eSUN PLA. This one is when you change the filament, you can see a little bit is normal. Is the eSUN PLA matte black. That is really my favorite because it gives so nice surface. This one I don't even need to sand and primer. This one is a raw print that I'm selling black like this one. And this is for the same clients of the Deadpool that changed idea. So also this one remaining to me for now. After that, it was a Wolverine period because they released a new Deadpool movie. So I make also a Deadpool mask, and I make also 2 Wolverine, always with the PLA. The black one always is the matte. The yellow one is the gray one with some painting. This is the classic Wolverine from Yosh Studios, and this other one is the Wolverine from the Deadpool movie from Mystery Maker. That is quite different with this cheek here, and it's blue because in the movie it's blue. And also very cool, I printed this one. This one is a free file that you can find on MakeWord. It's very simple. It's a little bit tricky to assemble at the beginning for the first time. And I just break it now. It works so good until now. I need to reprint the connection here. After a few times that you are using, it's easy to break it. But he has one spring on the finger that when you release, it pop out like this one. And of course, I'm using with my son for 2 weeks is breaking right now. Here is the small part that is break. Is connecting here. This is very simple to replace. Just need to remove the blade and put this one. This is very fragile. It's very thin, but it's a funny toy. This one, anyway, I made also a video that you can see on the eSUN YouTube channel how to print this one. It's very simple, just a little bit tricky to assemble all the parts because I have small spring to print and make it, but it's quite funny. Except for this one, what happened in the last month, I want to show to you. In the last month, it happened the problem with the bamboo. I don't know if you heard the bamboo A1 was recalled because there was a problem with the cable that he make the printer with some issue on catch fire, on shock, so they took back all the A1 and they should be able again on May, probably. Except for that, I heard just today about AnyCubic that there is one problem with the software, that some people can get access to your information, to your slicer when you're working on the printer, something like that. AnyCubics are investigating about this one. And the last one is the Frozen that they released the first FDM printer, the Arco, with the chroma kit and the pentashield, that is the cover and the multicolor system, the EMS. It's quite big printer, very heavy, and the news is that here I'm a tester from this one. Wait, I'll show you from the other side. For a moment, I can just show this one. I already start, because probably you cannot hear. Here am I, back. I say, this one is the new Frozen Arco. Was very lucky to get in contact with the Frozen almost 2 months ago. They asked me if I want to join their tester program, so more than 1 month that I'm testing and printing something for them. The printer, they just released the Kickstarter now, and they should be available around June, if I don't remember. So they still have a lot of time to adjust. The printer is still not ready, but for now it's working pretty good. I already made few prints. I don't have access to the slicer yet, so I cannot print anything by myself. I can just print something that Frozen send to me and upload it directly on the printer. But so far, it's working very good. Some tape that I was gluing a mask here. Also this one I was making. This is a project that is failing. Is the button beyond the helmet. Unfortunately, the other part of the helmet, it doesn't fit on my V400, so I decided to stop one moment and come back later to make it. But this one is so cool. This matte PLA black, and the size is perfect. So you see, I print a lot of stuff, and all this one using Orca slicer or Bambu slicer when I use the Bambu. And today I will continue my little tutorial about the Orca slicer. So now let me become smaller here. And let's go here to Orca slicer. Let me see if you can see clearly everything. Let me check. The audio, the connection looks still quite good at the moment because I need to open by the phone, otherwise I cannot see the preview from here. Every time it's so complicated to open YouTube here in China. You don't have idea. Let me see from here if I can understand. Should be good, should be on frame, but I want to be sure. before I start to show something after you cannot see the nothing. Okay, this is the live. Okay, yes, you can see, good. Okay, so last time, this is my eSUN B400. As I told you, for me, it's still the favorite printer from 2022 to 2023. Let's see if the new Arco replaced the eSUN or if the S1 it become my new favorite printer. So last time I showed to you how to create a new profile for the printer. So how to add a new printer and yeah. Orca Slicer always give me some lag sometimes. How to create a generic profile and everything else. Today I will show to you how to make the filament profile. As you can see here, automatically when you import or you create your printer, you already have some generic profile filament. They are working very good, but still, if you want to have very smooth and clean printer surface like mine, you need to adjust some settings here on the slicer and here on the filament. So today I will explain to you very basically what are the meaning of all this information here, so you can adjust this information to create your profile and make as better as you can for your printer. So first one, how to reach here. If you can see here, this is small square. This one is click to edit preset. If you select one generic preset and you click here, you can rename for saving. Otherwise, you cannot overwrite the normal profile. This is what I made for the PLA Plus. So let's start from the beginning. Filament, the first part. Support material. This one normally is unchecked, unflagged, because it's normally you don't print with the supporting material. Supporting material is a different kind of material that some specific information, specific temperature and speed characteristic. So if you are using some filament that is supporting filament, you need to check these options when you flag it, and it will change some other settings in the future. Default color here is just a default color that you can choose to see here. You see it will change, but it will not of course represent anything. It's just for you to see how it will be appear on the slicer here, the color. Diameter, this is very important. This is the common 1.75. Some other filament is 2.75 maybe. You need to check always what is the diameter. Normally most of the common printer they only print with a 1.75 diameter. That is also the diameter for the nozzle. So you need to be sure that the printer, that the filament that you choose is 1.75. Normal filament are all like this one, so you don't need to worry about this one. Flow ratio is the flow, is how much filament you purge in percentage. This one is a value that you can find on the calibration tools that are here, and I will show later how to make this basic calibration. Default is 0.93 for most of the filament here, but this one is a value that you need to test and change for every filament that you're using. Even if you use same eSUN filament, a different color can have different flow ratio. So every time you need to make a calibration here, check the new setting, saving with a color. For me, I only use the PLA Plus gray or black that have the same flow ratio, so I only have one profile. But if you need different profile, you need to save for each color. This one is the enable pressure advance, is for the feature to compensate the vibration of when it's printing, to make the line smooth and more nice to look. Also this one is a value that you can find here. See, this one is the flow rate test that transfer, that it show you to print this rectangle with some number here, and according to which one has the best top layer you can adjust your flow rate. And this one is the pressure advancer test. You can make direct drive or Baldwin. Most of the printer now are direct driver. You can make by tower, line of pattern. If you make the line that is the most fast, you can select some basic information like this one. I don't want to save. And if you slice, you will see here, now I need to remove the previous one, so otherwise we're gonna see. When you slice here, you see you have the line that it grow up by 0.04. That is the value that we select here. 0.02, sorry. And you will see many of these lines. When you print, you need to check which line is more even with the same flow all the time, as better as you can. As you can see, you can have 5 minutes for printing this one. And when you find the correct number, you need to report on the profile. It will automatically update. You see this number 0.028, 0.032. If you go to see, mine is 0.028. So when I print with the PLA of eSUN, this one is my pressure advance value. That is the correct one. Otherwise, you can find this test also with the tower, that it will print one tower here. Here on the corner you will start to have some defect. You need to check with a good caliper which height you start to have the defect and report and writing there. Is two ways to check the pressure advance. The first one is very fast, 5 minutes. The second one, it's more accurate, but you need to have a good caliper and take much more time. So I suggest when you're preparing your filament to use the first line, the first step, and after, if you have any issue that you are not happy with the result, you can make the second test. But most of the time, with the first settings, it will be ready to go. All the calibration here, you have also retraction test, the temperature, the Orca tolerance test, the all tests that you can make automatically here. You don't need to do anything. If you have any doubt how it's working, you can check here the page of the tutorial, and now it will not open because it's in Chinese, and it will explain to you how to make it, how to read the result. So it's very simple. This one you don't need to do anything particularly, just follow the wiki and you can go. So flow ratio and pressure advance are the first two very important values that change on every filament, and you need to report here. The density. Density is a value that you don't know. You can only check on the website where you buy the filament, and this one is important only for check how much material are you consuming. For example, if I print one cube, it's one, the famous benchy. Where is the benchy? Here, 3D, not this one. The benchy, give me a benchy here. If you slice and you want to know how much material are you consuming, you can check here. This one because you write the density of the filament. For make this benchy, you consume 3 meter 84 centimeter of PLA, and you spend 11.44 grams, more or less, of course. And you have also the cost. The cost you can check here after on this price is the price of 1 kilogram of dollar, euro, pesos, whatever you want to write. This is not important for the printing quality. It's just information that you can get if you want to know how much filament you cost one helmet, or if you're running a business, it's important because you need to know how much it costs for you one single pieces to check how much to are selling. This one is the shrinkage. Is normally you can keep 100%. Normally it can happen that some filament after he print it can shrinks a little bit. It can become a little bit smaller. So normally you can check a cube, you print 20 millimeter for 20 millimeter. After you finish, you can check how big it is, and if it's not exactly that value, you can adjust the percentage here to let it match the size. Normally it's very small part that is not even necessary to adjust. Here is the nozzle temperature recommended, is the range which one the nozzle it can print. if you make some strange value here, you will receive a pop-up warning say the temperature doesn't match with your previous information. So if you put to print something 119 and 119 for example, and you put the minimum temperature here is 205, if you slice you should get some information when you go to print. Now I cannot because the printer is working, but it will pop up one message that say the nozzle is too low according to your temperature, and so you know that you made some mistake and you can change. Print chamber temperature, this one if your printer has a enclosure with a heater that you can manage, you can control, like the X1's carbon for example, you can adjust here and activate the control temperature. For example, the V400 or the P1S doesn't have this one, so for me is always off. This one is the temperature for the bed. This one I will show you better here on the Bambu. Don't mind my screen, because the Bambu has all this information directly inside. So this is my P1S. For example, if I select the PLA plus, the PLA is on here. Here we are. You see we have different bed temperature according to which kind of plate we have. For example, the cool plate, that is the bed that is recommended for the PLA, it reach 35 degrees is enough for print. If I want to use the textured bed here, I need to reach the 55 for example for the PLA. So according to which bed do you have different temperature that you can adjust here for every bed. This one because the Bambu have this option that you can use different bed. The V400 it doesn't have, so I only use one bed, and this one is the first layer, other layers. Normally first layers I always keep a little bit hotter, especially now that it's winter, because it makes the PLA a little bit more easy to keep it melting on the first layer, so it's more solid and less chance to fall down, to warping or fall down. The last value that we go to see here is the max volumetric speed. This one is super important. This one is a value that you can calculate with some formula, but the simple way to get it is ask who produced the filament to give you this volumetric speed max. This one is how fast the printer it can melt and spread the filament on your printer. If this value is low, like this one that is the normal PLA, you can even put that you are printing 2000 millimeter by second. When the printer reach that is making more than 12 millimeter cube by second of volumetric speed, it will stop the speed and you cannot go faster, because simply you cannot melt enough PLA so fast. For make one example, if I make one huge cube, primitive cube, for example, if I slice with a normal PLA of eSUN, for example, that have a volumetric speed of 12, it's a bit too big, too long. Here it took 17 hours 24 minutes for printing this one. If this one, for example, instead of printing 300 millimeter, the inner, I put like 1200 and outside 1200, look what happened. It will go still a little bit faster probably, but not so much, because the volumetric speed it should block the speed at a certain point, because you say I cannot go so fast because I cannot melt the PLA in time. You see it remaining 17 hours, almost nothing, or very similar to before. This one because it doesn't matter how fast you go. If your PLA cannot melt enough, you cannot go faster. You can increase a little bit the temperature, but still you need a PLA that is compatible for the high speed. You see, 1724. For this reason, eSUN released a filament that is calling HS, that HS meaning for high speed, that has a volumetric speed of 32 or a little bit more. What does it mean? That if before I took almost 18 hours to print this cube, now as you can see here I'm not changing anything, just changing the PLA plus from normal to the HS speed, the fast speed, from almost 18 hours. Here you cannot see my face, it's 15 hours and 28 minutes. It's 2 hours and a half faster, just for changing the volumetric speed. This one because this PLA he allowed to print faster, so you can go much faster than the normal PLA. If I put 1200, let me see what happened. I didn't try before this test. So the new filament of eSUN, the PLA HS, is very good to print if you have the fast printer, because you see, without change any settings, only like this one, you're already saving 2 hours and a half. So look, like this one is even another hour faster. Of course, you cannot print 1200 millimeter by second because you break the printer, but just changing the volumetric speed will allow you to print faster. In the last period, I'm also using a lot the filament of HS, the high speed, because it's exactly like the PLA Plus of eSUN, but it prints faster. So for me that I print a lot, it's a very good deal. So if you didn't try, I suggest you to check the eSUN store and check the PLA HS, because it's really a good solution if you have a faster print. Of course, if you have old printer, not with clipper, or anyway an old Corexi or bed slinger that you are still printing 50, 60 or 80 millimeter by second, you will not get any improvement about the speed in time. So, but if you have Creality the K1, the Bambu series, the V400, the Cobra 2 series, all the printers that are the Prusa M4 that are faster, having a fast PLA, it can give a good boost to your speed. Now, here we have the cooling. This part is the last part of today's tutorial, and this one is very important. So, for example, now, the first one is no cooling for the first layers. Usually, on the first layers, you don't want the fan work, because, as you see before, I also raised the temperature of the bed. You need that the PLA, it will become very melt on the bed to attack very good, so it will not fall down. If the fan is on, it will cool down the PLA too fast, and you will warp and you will fail the print. So normally for the first layer, you don't want the fan. You can start around number 4, 3, 5, according to your preference. This one here, now for the PLA, you always keep the fan max speed, so you don't check. But for example, if you put like this one is the layer time and the minimum fan speed. It means that if the layer, let me put more slow value so you can understand better, like this one. If the layer it need more than 10 seconds for printing, the fan it will go around 10%. This one because the printing is very slow, so before you pass on the same part, it's passing more than 10 seconds, so the fan it doesn't need to be so strong, it can cool down simply without the fan. This one for the PLA normally you don't need, but for some material like the nylon, PTG, carbon fiber, it's important to play with the fan speed. So now I just teach you how to read these settings. The second time is the layer time. If it is 3 seconds or less, so it means that you need 3 seconds or less for printing one layer, the fan it will reach 100%. Every layer time that is between 10 and 3, it will put a percentage from 10 to 100%. How? Let me show to you here. For example, if I make this time we make a cone, very good. and I slice here. Here, if you go to lane type and we go to speed, fan speed, as you can see, is almost all red. This means that always around 100%. How you can check? If you go a little bit down here, and if you move this, you can see here the spin, the fan is 99%. Don't crush Orca slicer, please. It's around 99% because probably if you go to see the layer time, it's a little bit more than 3.4. So if you remember here, it's a little bit more than 3 seconds. So you don't go to 100%, we go to 99%. If we go down, here the speed, the fan is 84% because the speed is, no, the speed, sorry, the layer time is 4.9. It took more time, so the fan, it can go a little bit slower. On the first layer, you can see the fan is almost 0. This is number 3. Number 1 is 0. The first four layer is start to the minimum until it go up. I mean from the 5th, it will start already to 90%. This one you can see easier if you put more layer time, like this one, for example. Now, if I'm slicing like this one, you see now the fan is much more different. If you go here, the fan is always around 10, so the minimum that we put here, because for printing this one, layer time, you need more than 10 seconds, almost 28 seconds. Going up, here that it start to make less than 10 seconds, 9.8, 9.9, you will see here on the fan speed that it'll start to become faster and faster. So you need to play with these settings. It's not always go faster better. When you need to print something with the edge like this one, maybe it's better to slow down. So you need to adjust the fan according to what are you using. So with the PLA, this value, normally this is the default settings, it works good. But if you are using a different material, you can play with this for have the full control of your speed and fan, so you know when you need to have a stronger fan or when you don't need a stronger fan. Keep always fan on. It do exactly what he said. If you put, except for the first layer that is 0, no cooling, if you select this one, the fan, it can be even 0. But if you select this one, even if the layer should be less than 0, it will always keep on the minimum threshold here. So even if the layer time is more than 100%, 100 seconds, it always keep at least at 10%. This one is slowed down for a better layer cooling. It's very simple to understand. When the layer time that we saw before, you see with the max fan speed threshold is less than 30 seconds millimeter by seconds, he will slow down until that speed for letting cooling better. This one is the forcing cooling for overhangs. When he detects some overhangs, the suspended area, the bridge, you can select here the percentage of the overhang. You can put the speed of the fan that go faster or slower. Normally when you're printing the overhang, you want to have the fan that is very strong, 100% usually, and the speed slower. So it's moving very slow, the nozzle, you have enough time for cooling and make the line very straight and not that blob that fall down. This one, this support interface fan speed, you can set -1 to disable. The override is something that you don't need. It can be good if you have the supporting material, for example the nylon. you can ask to go faster the fan in that moment, so the last layer of the solid of the support, it will be more solid and it will be more easy to remove from the PLA and not melt together. And these other two parts here is the cooling fan for the chamber. If you have an external cooling fan like the P1S or the X1, you can adjust. This one is very good for PLA because it gives extra cooling, so you can print a little bit faster because you can remove a little bit on the layer time, make faster, because anyway the printer has a very strong wind that cools super fast, so you can go a little bit faster. And this one is the exhaust fan for the air filter if you have the carbon filter, that I don't have, so is not using. The last settings here is the override. These settings, as you remember, we saw when we put the printer. Here, length, retraction, most of them are the retraction and some speed. You have again here, this one is because when you use the general settings, the machine take the settings from the printer, so in this case from my FLSUN V400. But when I'm using my FLSUN PLA, I say don't take the settings of the printer, take the settings of this filament. So you override the last settings and use this one. So as I explained before, this is how long and the zeta hop and the long distance it will retract. This one, the zeta hop, is let me show you here. Travel here. The zeta hop is when they finish to print one part and you go to the other side. The zeta hop, you can see, he just go vertical a little bit and after moving to the other side. This one is the normal type of Z hop. Again here. This one because when he moving from one part to another one, you want that the nozzle is a little bit higher than the last layer, so when he's moving he will not touch any part. In case if touch something, especially when they're moving so fast, he will fall down everything with you, so you want to lift up this part a little bit. And this one, higher you put, more big it will be the step that he will make, but also it will take much more time for print. Look, if I put 10, look how up he goes. Every time he print, he goes so up, go back, go down. It will took, look, 1 hour and 11 minutes. If I put the normal Z hop 0.4, it took 46 minutes because this movement it will be much shorter. So this one also 0.4 is normal value that I have for me. If you find that you have a little bit too much leaking on the nozzle of the retraction, maybe you can increase a little bit, not too much, because higher is this number, more time you need for print. This is the normal. The slope is this other kind that you cannot see very clearly, but instead of go directly up and move, it start to go directly from down to move up a little bit, like a slope. I didn't try yet. According to some wiki that I saw on the Prusa document, they say that this one should help you to reduce the little bit the oozing on the printer. So I could try. It's not making straight, but it's going like a slope. And the last one is the spiral. It's like the CNC printer that when they make the hole, you make this. Is a mess. This one I never tried. I don't think it's very good solution, but maybe for one experiment I can try. Normally auto, it's okay for me. You can play with normal or slope or keep it auto, and it's okay. You will not have any problem. The last value here is the retraction speed and the retraction speed. That retraction speed is how fast is the filament for go in from the nozzle to up to retract, and the retraction is the opposite, when you need to print from the nozzle to go outside for printing. So This one you can normally you can put a little bit higher speed this one than the retraction, but just a little bit if you want. All the retraction speed settings you can find easily making the retraction test here from the Orca slicer. You print this one here, they have some value that it will change layer by layer according to speed and distance, and after you print you can see which position you don't have any straining. You can count how many columns and adjust the number. As usual, here on the wiki you will find all the information on how to read this one. So also when you find your retraction distance, speed, and retraction, that one is on the printer. After you find these settings, you write here and you are ready to go. The last one, the wipe distance, is after printing you will go a little bit more inside to wipe the filament inside to not left any blob. You can keep it a little bit, it's okay, not too much. Advanced, and here we have for the filament some extra command that you want for the start and the G code. This one normally you don't need to add anything. Materials is some wipe for the multi-material, so for the multicolor. In this case I don't have any printer for now, so this one we cannot use it. And note, you can adjust any information that you want. So for today we finish here. So the first time I showed you how to make a profile for the printer. Today I show the settings, how they work for making a profile for your printer. The Orca slicer, Bambu slicer, has already a very good database of many filaments, including the eSUN and including the eSUN PLA. So you can simply use one of that one, adjust using some calibration, and you will not have any problem. This one is profile that I'm using, that I share to everyone every time on my Google Drive. This is the Filament PLA Plus from eSUN with the V400. So if you have this printer and this filament, you can just copy or download from a Google Drive, and is a very good starting point. Of course, some value you need to adjust, like the infill every time can be a little bit different. The walls you can change from 2 to 3 according to the situation. The speed you can go faster or slower according to your situation. Support has so many different support that we'll see next time. So it's not a profile that is working 100% every time, but is a good starting point. So let me come back here bigger, and here we are. Okay, so thank you for staying with me today. Some filament is finished here. If you like, please remember to subscribe here to the eSUN channel, make a thumbs up, write in the comment any suggestion, and activate the notification, the bell, so every time I will go live or any of my colleagues they release some video, you will get a notification, so you can immediately go in and check what happened. So thanks for watching, see you next time.